Greenfield, according to NEC 350.31. A2 may be used for concealed work in dry locations where not subject to severe physical damage. NEC 350.31. C states that Greenfield with an approved corrosion-resistant coating may be used in wet locations, but not where exposed to severe physical damage. Regarding metallic flex, NEC 350.34.1. C specifies that liquid-tight flexible metal conduit may be used for concealed work in dry locations and in wet locations if approved for such use. NEC 350.34.1. D states that liquid-tight flexible metal conduit shall not be used where exposed to severe physical damage. In the specific example of a sub-panel line fished through a wall using metallic flexible tubing, NEC 350.31. A2 and 350.34.1. C indicate that metallic flex may be used for this concealed work in a dry location. The metallic flex must be approved for use in concealed locations and must not be exposed to severe physical damage. Regarding pillboxes, NEC 314.27.1. A4 states that pillboxes shall be permitted in lieu of outlet boxes at the end of a run where conduit or tubing terminates at a point within the cavity of the wall or ceiling. Therefore, it is permissible to have a pull box within the run of the metallic flex tubing, provided that the pull box is installed within the cavity of the wall or ceiling. In summary, when considering the use of Greenfield or metallic flex for sub-panel lines, it's essential to adhere to the National Electrical Code, or NEC, guidelines. The NEC provides specific regulations for the proper and safe installation of electrical systems, including the use of different types of conduit and enclosures. For Greenfield, which is a type of flexible metal conduit, its usage is dictated by factors such as location, environmental conditions, and potential for physical damage. According to NEC 350.31. 8.2, Greenfield is permitted for concealed work in dry locations where it is not subject to severe physical damage. This means that if you're running Greenfield within a wall, ceiling, or other enclosed space where it's protected from impacts, abrasions, or other forms of damage, it's generally acceptable. However, NEC 350.31. C adds a caveat for wet locations. If you intend to use Greenfield in an area where moisture is present, such as a damp basement or an outdoor application, the conduit must have an approved corrosion-resistant coating. This coating helps to prevent rust and degradation of the metal, ensuring the longevity and safety of the installation. It's crucial to note that even with a corrosion-resistant coating, Greenfield is still prohibited in locations where it's exposed to severe physical damage. This restriction is in place to prevent damage to the conduit and the conductors inside, which could lead to electrical hazards. Moving on to metallic flex, which is another type of flexible metal conduit, the NEC also has specific requirements for its use. NEC 350.34.1. C states that liquid-tight flexible metal conduit, or LFMC, may be used for concealed work in both dry and wet locations, provided that it's approved for such use. This means that the conduit must be specifically listed and labeled for the intended application. For example, if you are using metallic flex in a wet location, it must be marked as suitable for wet environments. However, like Greenfield, metallic flex is not permitted in locations where it's exposed to severe physical damage, as per NEC 350.34.1. D. This limitation is in place to protect the conduit and its contents from damage that could compromise the electrical system. Now, let's consider the specific scenario of a sub-panel line fished through a wall using metallic flexible tubing. In this case, NEC 350.30.1. 8.2 and 350.34.1. C provide guidance. These sections of the code indicate that metallic flex may be used for this concealed work in a dry location. However, there are a few important conditions to keep in mind. Firstly, the metallic flex must be approved for use in concealed locations. This means that it must be listed and labeled for installation within walls, ceilings, or other enclosed spaces. Secondly, the metallic flex must not be exposed to severe physical damage. This means that it should be protected from impacts, abrasions, or other forms of damage that could compromise its integrity. Finally, let's address the question of whether it's permissible to have a pull box within the run of the metallic flex tubing. According to NEC 314.27(1)(a)(4), pull boxes are allowed in lieu of outlet boxes at the end of a run where conduit or tubing terminates at a point within the cavity of the wall or ceiling. This means that you can install a pull box within the run of the metallic flex tubing provided that it's located within the wall or ceiling cavity. The pull box must be accessible for future maintenance or modifications. In addition to these specific requirements, there are also some general considerations to keep in mind when working with Greenfield and metallic flex. Firstly, it's important to ensure that all fittings and connectors are properly installed and tightened. Loose connections can create electrical hazards, so it's essential to follow the manufacturer's instructions and use the appropriate tools. Secondly, it's crucial to avoid overbending or kinking the conduit. Sharp bends can damage the conduit and reduce its capacity, so it's best to use gradual curves whenever possible. Thirdly, it's important to protect the conduit from corrosion. In wet or damp environments, it's advisable to use conduit with a corrosion-resistant coating or to apply a protective coating after installation. Finally, it's always a good idea to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector before starting any electrical work. They can provide valuable guidance and ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and regulations. In addition to the specific NEC sections mentioned are other relevant codes and standards that may apply to the installation of Greenfield and metallic flex. These include local building codes, manufacturer specifications, and industry best practices. It's important to be familiar with all applicable requirements to ensure a safe and compliant installation. Furthermore, it's worth noting that the NEC is updated on a regular basis, so it's essential to stay current with the latest edition. Changes to the code can affect the way that electrical systems are installed, so it's important to be aware of any updates that may impact your work. In summary, when using Greenfield or metallic flex for sub-panel lines, it's crucial to adhere to the NEC guidelines and other applicable codes and standards. By following these requirements, you can ensure a safe and compliant installation that will provide reliable electrical service for years to come. The selection of appropriate conduit depends on several factors. Firstly, consider the location of the installation. Is it a dry environment, or is it exposed to moisture? If it's a wet location, use Greenfield with a corrosion-resistant coating or liquid-tight flexible metal conduit LFMC that is approved for wet locations. Secondly, assess the potential for physical damage. If the conduit is likely to be subjected to impacts, abrasions, or other forms of damage, consider using a more robust type of conduit, such as rigid metal conduit RMC or intermediate metal conduit IMC. Thirdly, consider the type of wiring being used. Some types of wiring, such as THHN/THWN conductors, are suitable for use in conduit, while others, such as NM cable, are not. Ensure that the wiring is compatible with the type of conduit being used. Fourthly, consider the size of the conduit. The conduit must be large enough to accommodate the wiring being installed without overcrowding. Overcrowding can lead to overheating and other electrical hazards. Consult the NEC for guidance on conduit fill. Fifthly, consider the bending radius of the conduit. Flexible metal conduit, such as Greenfield and metallic flex, has a limited bending radius. Avoid overbending the conduit, as this can damage it and reduce its capacity. Sixthly, consider the support requirements for the conduit. Conduit must be properly supported to prevent it from sagging or becoming damaged. The NEC provides guidance on support spacing. Seventhly, consider the grounding requirements for the conduit. Metal conduit must be properly grounded to provide a path for fault current. The NEC provides guidance on grounding requirements. Eighthly, consider the labeling requirements for the conduit. Conduit must be properly labeled to indicate its type, size, and voltage rating. The NEC provides guidance on labeling requirements. Ninthly, consider the inspection requirements for the conduit. Electrical installations are typically subject to inspection by local authorities. Ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and regulations. Tenthly, consider the maintenance requirements for the conduit. Electrical systems require periodic maintenance to ensure that they are operating safely and efficiently. Inspect the conduit regularly for damage or corrosion. If damage or corrosion is found, repair or replace the conduit as necessary. Remember to always disconnect power before working on electrical systems. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it's important to take precautions to protect yourself from electrical shock. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and safety glasses. If you're not comfortable working on electrical systems, hire a qualified electrician. A qualified electrician has the knowledge and experience to perform electrical work safely and correctly. The goal is to ensure the safety of the electrical system and the people who use it. Therefore, follow the NEC guidelines, local codes, and manufacturer's instructions.